guys, Airfix and Warlord Games Blood Red Skies Battle of Britain. This is a special, kind of a special edition partnership between Airfix and Warlord Games to kind of take the 172 scale planes from the Airfix model line and marry it to the Blood Red Skies game system from Warlord. So I'm going to turn this around. In this kit, you're going to get 2 Airfix plastic German Messerschmitt Bf-109Es, as well as 2 Airfix plastic British Supermarine Spitfire Mark IIs, and all the associated tokens and rulers that would normally come in Warlord Games' Blood Red Skies Battle of Britain 2-player starter that was released a few years ago. So this is not new, as well as the Battle of Britain starter from Warlord. None of that is new. It's a couple years old. There is a new 2-player starter, the Battle of the Pacific. But what I like about this is that it is a partnership between a venerable model making company in Airfix and Warlord Games. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. First off, you have your dice. These are just regular D6s with specialized markings, but they're not any different than a D6, with the spade being, I believe, the 6. So pretty neat. Next up, you get 2 baggies each of the Spitfire and the Bf-109E. We'll take a closer look at what's inside of these in a little bit. Next up, we have the Advantage Flight bases, which are key to the game of Blood Red Skies, and Sabot bases that would actually click onto there. In order for these 172 scale models, or in the past, the metal models, for Blood Red Skies to be held in place properly without falling down. So if you are not familiar with Blood Red Skies, there is an Advantage Flight base system, and what it is, you'll see that the flight stand itself tilts, and whatever position it's in, based on how your model is sitting on it, tells you whether it is disadvantaged, which will make it easier for your opponent to fire on you, neutral, or advantaged, in which your plane is actually pointing up like that, and that'll make it a lot easier for you as the attacker to attack in any plane, especially if it's in the disadvantaged position. So this is proprietary to the Blood Red Skies game. So next are your associated movement rulers and other tokens that would be necessary for the game. Next, we have a very thin, like plastic paper material for the propellers for your models. I don't know if anybody actually uses these. If you do, comment below. I don't think I will be using these for the models. Next up is the sheet with clouds and clouds with bombs, but on the other side you'll see clouds, and you'll use this as terrain on your flight map. Also, some of they actually go in the stand there, if you pop this out, and that'll denote the skill of your pilot. So. And obviously you have different skill levels here, 2, 4, 5, and then the other side 3. Next we have the rulebook, and what's unique about this starter set, and I'm not quite sure why this is in there. You have several copies of the rulebook in different languages. Honestly, depending on where you buy this, I don't think it would be necessary to have all that. I don't know if that's just something that Airfix wanted in here, or if it's a Warlord thing, but I felt it was kind of weird having a number of different languages when really you only need the one rulebook. And as you can see, the rulebook itself is not very thick, so that should have everything that you need to play the game. In fact, they do sell the rulebook separately. That's combined, I think, with all the FAQs and rules updates in something called Blood Red Skies Airstrike. So if you didn't buy the starter and you got that rule book and a bunch of models, you could play like that. But yeah, that's the rule book. Next up is the assembly guide for the models, and actually this is very well put together. Airfix itself is not a very complex set of models, as you can see. The instructions are very well laid out and clear, and even though you do have a number of items that are required to be placed on the model, you know, in fact, you probably don't need to do like the wheels or anything like that because they will be on these flight stands. But again, a nice layout, a little bit of fluff on the planes themselves. And yeah, next up you have two of these cardstock token sheets, more with the pilot skill level that will be placed on the base, boom chits, as well as other tokens. And you get two of these. So, next is a decal sheet. Not much to say about that. You have your Spitfire decals and your ME-109 decals. Next up we have the Spitfire cards. So again, like the rulebook, you do get a number of the same card in different languages. We'll just look at the English language version here. I'm pretty new to the game, so a lot of this stuff is not familiar to me, so please forgive me for that. Does have a trait, tight turn. On the other side, just some info about the Spitfire too. Back again. As with the Spitfire, the BF-109s also have multi-language cards. You'll only need to use the English one if you speak English. Obviously, you will use the other cards depending on the language that you speak. Again, not familiar with these stats, but it does have the traits Great Dive and Great Climb. And then on the other side, just some info on the BF-109E. Surprisingly, no map was included in this. If you look at the back, it looks like there's a map that is included, but there actually isn't any. I think at this point you would be able to use any sort of map that you have available, whether it represents a city, countryside, or desert, like this map from Dust 1947. So feel free to use whatever you want. Again, you do have these cloud tokens or cloud terrain features that you can use for the game. So we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at the models, one of each. Alright, first off, here is Sprue A of the Spitfire Mark II. The fuselage, wheels, there's the nose cone, as well as other components. Again, nice and easy sprue layout. We'll take a closer look here. There's the pilot seat, in fact. Right there. Overall, very simple sprue. Okay, here is Sprue B, which has the underside of the plane as well as the wings, the tail. There's the pilot right there. Take a closer look at the pilot. Get this to focus. There it is. Again, this is a very nice sprue here. Very nice sprue here. Very nice and easy layout. Okay. Lastly, we have a baggie, and I'm not going to take this out of the baggie, but this is the cockpit glass for the Spitfire. Alright, next up is Sprue A of the BF-109. Again, the fuselage, wheels, all the other components. You have the pilot on this sprue. There. Components are laid out quite clearly. And then this is Sprue B, which is basically the underside of the BF-109, wings, and other components, including the wheels. And like the Spitfire, you get a baggie with the cockpit glass. And obviously, the BF-109 has more glass for its cockpit than the Spitfire. And there you have it, Airfix and Warlord Games, Blood Red Skies, Battle of Britain 2-player starter, the partnership between Airfix and Warlord to kind of use 172 scale planes with the Blood Red Skies rules. It's an interesting partnership. I actually got this because I missed out on the initial Battle of Britain 2-player starter from Warlord. It's a couple years old. This is a little bit newer, but not that much newer. In fact, when I bought this is when via retail the Battle of Pacific was made available. So not only do I have this, but hopefully I'll be getting the Battle Pacific soon. And I initially wanted this because obviously I wanted to play Blood Red Skies with James. So it's an interesting take on the game. I feel that maybe the planes might be too large. I guess it just depends on the map that you're going to use, the table that you're going to set up for this. But again, the rules are the same, tokens are the same, cards are the same. So if you do have the Blood Red Skies models and all that stuff, it's still the same rules. So my final thoughts, it would have been nice to have a map in there. It's always a nice extra when you get a 2-player starter, but I guess the assumption is that maybe they didn't want to include it because the scale of the planes were a lot larger than initially intended with the original release of Battle of Britain. But I think it's kind of neat. It would have been nice if they had continued the partnership and maybe released more expansions in scale with this, or at least have the bases and cards available for other models, because I actually unboxed an Airfix P-51 Mustang not too long ago, and it would be cool to use that with this rule set. I will be limited because of the number of bases that are included here. I would have to source bases from somewhere else in order to be able to add more planes to this. I think ideally this would be nice to play on a 6x4 map, because obviously the planes are larger. But in any case, those are my thoughts. I think this is neat. I'm going to build it up. We're going to film a battle report just using this set, but obviously we'll be using the tokens and the rulers and all the other stuff for the correct size for Blood Red Skies releases. So anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new unboxings coming out of the channel, and then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That is the best way I could personally interact with you and chit-chat you about Blood Red Skies, Airfix, and any other game that we cover on the channel. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more unboxings from Wargaming Noob Historical.